Hi everyone, it's Gemma from Fab UK. Today I am speaking with producer Matthew Barber regarding his latest series, which has just premiered on Paramount Plus, Sexy Beast. What made you take this beast on, as it were?
Well, it was a interesting puzzle for me because I came on in the middle of the process. I got a call right before Christmas from Nicole Clemens, who runs Paramount US, and she's like, "Have you ever seen Sexy Beast?" I'm like, "Actually, I haven't seen the film." She goes, "Go home and watch it right now." So I went home and I watched the film. I was blown away by it, but I was really curious, like, how is this going to be a TV series? I had no idea. So when I got back on the phone with her, she pitched it to me. She sent me a few of the rough cuts and said, "We need some help finding a voice in the post-production process." And my brain is like, it's like this beautiful mind kind of thing. When someone says, "We need a voice in post," my brain starts going, "Ooh, we could do this, we can do this." But the challenge for me was like, we had this film that inspired the series. And what can we do to sort of pay homage to the film while also creating something unique and its own thing? So that right there is like, I just love that. It's like, it's a weird puzzle thing that I love.
Yeah, 100%. That's so cool. And how did you deal, or was there any pressure to create kind of like a prequel to such an established film story in itself? And how did you deal with that?
No, we were actually given free reign, and they wanted us to do something completely unique. And at the same time, I understood the challenge of having such a precious, beloved film that everyone's going to be looking to, referring to, comparing to. It's a challenge, and who knows if everyone's going to say, "You guys did a great job. This is its own thing," or "This is nothing like it. It sucks." Who knows? But we as artists did our best to say, like, taking the inspiration from the film. And there wasn't much backstory in the script. There was few little bits and pieces which we sort of hung the whole story on.
Mhm.
And but for me, as in post production, I really wanted to feel like, like, it wasn't, we weren't copying it. It wasn't my advice and direction to everyone was, we want to make like a distant cousin. Like, we want to see the family resemblance to it, but we're not making a twin sibling. So what can we
I like
do?
those metaphors. Distant
Yeah.
cousin, twin sibling. That's cool.
Yeah. So what can we do? Like, say, like, "Oh yeah, I can see like the nose is the same and the ears, but but the way they dress and the jaw is completely different."
I mean, those characters, Ben Kingsley and Ray Winston, are kind of iconic, aren't they? What was the casting process like for that, for those?
To be honest, I was not involved with the casting. So that I think for me that was one of the most compelling parts you know of the project. When I saw the rough cuts, I'm like, they did a really excellent job of capturing the essence and the vibe of each of the different characters. So even someone like H, um, who was played by John Daglish, he has sort of the look of H from the film, but it's not the same.
Mm.
It's kind of a quirky, odd, tall,
Distant cousin.
lanky beanpole, distant cousin.
I'm totally going to use that just in my life.
It's all yours.
So, what was the process of developing the story for the series to kind of introduce it with a fresh take to modern audiences? Or did you kind of just play it by ear as you went and kind of let the creative process run?
Um, it really was a brainchild of Nicole Clemens, and she had this vision for this project for, it must have, for years. I think it was like, 5, 6, 7 years, and she kept trying to get it off the ground and find the right pieces, and it almost got made, didn't get made, and then she brought Michael on to start the process, and then eventually Alistair came over and finished it up for us. So it really was a deeply collaborative process. So the story itself, like, I I was there to help sort of shepherd and shape and find the pieces, because this show, and as the movie, was very similar, is that editing was a major character, like having not having the intensity always moving forward, to drive the story, even when the stories are just like people eating dinner. There's always an intensity. So my job was to try to find, editorially, the drive to keep the story interesting, and but also figure out this stuff isn't needed. We don't need to have all this backstory. We don't need to have all this dialogue. What's going to keep it driving and keep the intensity going? I want to make sure that the world in which these gangsters live always felt like it could collapse at any moment. So I know it doesn't directly answer your question, but since I wasn't involved in the script writing process, I'm like, that's what I can offer.
That's a better answer to a mediocre question. So the series had 8 episodes, and you just mentioned that, it took a while to get it off the ground. How long did it take to kind of produce these episodes from greenlighting the script to the distribution process?
I would say I'm trying to do the back calculation, because I came in January of 2023. And we were halfway through filming at that point. Mm-hmm. So I think the green light process happened, the July before. So I think it was over about a year and a half, for the whole process.
Awesome. And you were also involved in the editing as well in post, right?
Correct.
So did you face any challenges in that kind of process?
Nah, it was easy. Every day it was easy.
I'm Matthew Barber, and I did not.
We were just having tea and crumpets every day. It was great. No, we had
tea and crumpets, very British. I like that.
my partner and stepkids are from the UK. They grew up in Surbiton, so yeah. So they were like always sort of over my shoulder. I'm like, what is this? I can't understand what they're saying here. Like, oh, this is what this means. This is what that means. So.
Yes, because the dialogue is so like kind of gangster British, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I mean, part of the challenges that we had was like, one, I'm based in the UK, and I'm in Portland, Portland, Oregon, which is north of California. So part of the challenge was I had to drop in and supervise a team from the UK. Now there's differences in the way the UK system works and the way the American system works. And I really wanted to honor that and respect that, while at the same time not stepping on toes. And I stepped on a few toes on occasion. I had to go, oh, that you guys don't do it that way. All right. And so part of it was me like learning that system, but the big challenge is always having a vibe in one episode and having it sort of apply cohesively through the rest of the episode. So I initially came on to produce just to help supervise the other editors. But then I quickly had to jump onto the first episode, and I jumped on it, created this template, and then I had to supervise everyone else to do this. And one of the great things about being an editor for me is that like if I think really well with my fingers, at the keyboard. So if I'm trying to explain something to someone, it's like, maybe we can do it this way. We should be in this close up, this energy, this pace, this song. And I'm faffing about and they don't really understand what I'm saying, or sometimes my words don't capture what we need, or I'm completely wrong. I'll just be like, hey, is it okay if I hop on the keyboard really quick? And I'll just do a quick edit. Here you go. Throw it out. How does that work? Great. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So, but one of the other challenges that we had is we were, because we had like a time zone difference, like there was always a little bit of a challenge of like communicating with the production team. Production was filming up in Liverpool. I was in Portland, and the rest of the team was over in Soho. So sometimes there was some like time communications, like we need this shot, and I'm sleeping, and then I wake up and I have like one narrow window, 2 hours to like communicate to everybody. So
speaking of dialogue, did you understand the Liverpudlian accent?
By the end, yes. By the end.
Any Scousers watching this are going to be like, no, it's personally one of my favorite UK accents, but I can imagine as an American, it might be a bit difficult to gauge. but it is so lovely to listen to. It's like a song.
It is a song. Everything has this rhyme to it, which is really lovely. But the thankfully we had a script. So whenever I didn't know, and they adhered pretty closely to the script for the dialogue. So whenever I didn't know what was being said, I would just go in and be like, "What's this?" Or I'd ask my I'd ask my stepson, "What is he saying?"
Oh, no, that's awesome. Well, there's always going to be challenges, isn't there, that you face, but it's like a learning curve. And I'm sure you just take that in your stride and, take it forward with you for the next thing.
Yeah, the I think the main thing for me is always, I mean, it sounds a little cliche at this point because I've said it so many times. Like the story and the characters is the priority and the focus. So
Yeah.
whenever there's like staff problems or communication problems or uh, you know even financial issues, like the budget doesn't, like we can't do this much stuff. Like, I always go back to like what's the story and what's the character, what's the motivation here, and as long as we stay focused on that, we can solve all these problems. Everything else is just like, can we communicate in a kind way? Can we,
Yeah.
make, where can we save money? Where can we stretch ourselves within the limits of the budget? Because one of the big challenges for us was we had this big sequence that we had to recut. Because I came in, everyone had gone to Spain. There's this episode where everyone goes to Spain. Spoiler alert. Um, and we had this massive sequence, which sort of, if you haven't seen the episode, pause it, pause it now or something. I don't want to give you any spoilers. Um, but there's a big sequence where Roger Riley is pitching the boys on the massive heist that they're going to be doing for the rest of the episode, the rest of the series, and it wasn't quite working in post. So me and the editor Paul Knight, we like recut this whole thing. We rewrote some of the dialogue, and we pitched this great grand thing, and then production came back and said we don't have the money to shoot that. We can't go back to Spain. So we then had to like figure out a way to find stock shots and reuse shots, and we shrunk everything down to like a super narrow window what we could shoot on stages that we already had, and then we handed it all off to the writer Alistair. He rewrote our terrible dialogue, and then we had enough pieces to make this thing work. But we just constantly just went back to like, well, what is the purpose of this? What is the information that needs to be told, and where are the characters at? And since we needed this much and we only had this much, and so we're like, okay, how can we play within this space? And you know your viewers will tell me if it worked or not. So
Yeah, no, I'm
I
sure
think it
they
did.
will. But I think that's the key, isn't it? As a producer, it's keeping things on track, staying focused on the end goal. Would you agree?
Yes, and producer is one of those things where, like, if you met a producer on the street, you're like, well, what do you do? Are you
Yeah.
supervising the budget? Are you just there for cheerleader support? Are you there for the script? Who knows what you do? But
Yeah.
what I do as a producer, and I think what the strongest producers are the ones who have a really clear vision of what is important in the script, what the story is, and what the characters are, and helping support the other artists to stay on that track,
Yeah.
to not get lost, because film is such a, is an expansive medium, and you can put the camera anywhere on any person in any location, within reason, right? So it's like, well, do we really want to go here when really we should be over here?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my main
Hmm.
focus.
Awesome. Thank you. That's really interesting. And as the series is ongoing, is there any talk, chat for series two, or not yet
There,
decided or secret? But you can tell us.
there, there is there. I mean, yes, there is thoughts of season two. So
Awesome.
but we have to see. We definitely have to see how the reception is. But we
Yeah.
do have our writer who is furiously thinking and processing and coming up with some really clever ideas for season two.
Perfect. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Matthew.
Thank you, Gemma.
It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you about Sexy Beast, and everyone, please make sure you go watch it. All right.
Cheers, everyone.